They say that greatness often emerges from the most unlikely places. It isn't found in stadiums or studios, but rather in the shadows, beneath flickering streetlights, in warm living rooms, or sometimes behind a greasy counter at a McDonald's in Compton. This story doesn't start with accolades or fame. It begins with a young boy named Kendrick waiting in line at a fast food joint, hungry, not just for food, but for a life that felt more expansive than what the world seemed to offer. Welcome to Celebrity Cookies, where the tea is always hot and the stories come with sprinkles of surprise. Make sure to subscribe, leave a comment with your take on the story. At that time, Kendrick Lamar wasn't a Pulitzer Prize-winning artist or the voice of a generation. He was simply a slender kid with thoughtful eyes and deep reflections, growing up in a neighborhood that could either shape your character or crush your spirit. His mother worked long hours at a local McDonald's, often taking double shifts just to keep their family afloat. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was dependable, providing for Kendrick and his siblings. To outsiders, the restaurant was unremarkable: worn signs, flickering fluorescent lights, and chipped linoleum floors. But for Kendrick, it felt like a second home. It was where his mother wiped the sweat from her brow while still managing to greet customers with warmth. It was where he would sit in a corner doing homework, the scent of fries and cooking oil clinging to his clothes. And it was where a kind-hearted, middle-aged owner recognized something in him that few others did. This man, known to most as Mr. Eddie, treated the McDonald's like a community hub. He didn't just serve burgers, he mentored young people. He offered jobs to former convicts, provided free meals to hungry teens, and never judged anyone. To Mr. Eddie, everyone deserved respect. Kendrick was no exception. Whenever he came in after school looking weary, Mr. Eddie would slide a tray across the counter with a cheeseburger, fries, and a smile saying, "What matters most is that you have a dream." And Kendrick did have a dream. He didn't always voice it, but it burned within him. He filled spiral notebooks with lyrics, studied the rhythms of Tupac, Nas, and Biggie, and observed the world around him through a poet's perspective. Compton wasn't just a backdrop. It was his textbook, his church, his stage. He watched his mother manage their household with strength and grace, saw the streets challenge people's resolve every day, and through it all, he quietly collected the pieces he would one day use to create something significant. As Kendrick's aspirations began to materialize, Mr. Eddie's dreams were fading. The 2008 financial crisis severely impacted Compton, causing small businesses to fail due to inflation, increased expenses, and a decline in customers. Mr. Eddie did everything possible to keep his restaurant afloat, taking out loans, working long hours, and even using his retirement funds. However, the weight of his debt became unbearable, and ultimately, he had to sell the restaurant. The property changed ownership, the sign was taken down, and just like that, a place once filled with joy, struggle, and community became another victim of the economic downturn. As time went on, Kendrick achieved great success. He released Good Kid, Mad City, which shifted the narrative around Compton from a cautionary tale to a hub of art, struggle, and resilience. He earned Grammy Awards, walked the red carpet, and mingled with presidents and poets. Despite his accomplishments, he always remembered his roots and Mr. Eddie. Then, in 2025, something remarkable occurred. Kendrick Lamar quietly bought the very McDonald's where his mother had worked, the same place that provided meals during tough times, and where a man once inspired him to pursue his dreams. He sought no attention. There were no press releases or social media posts. He simply made the purchase. But that wasn't the most important part. Instead of demolishing the building or renaming it after himself, Kendrick carefully restored it, brick by brick, tile by tile, until it resembled its former self. However, this time it had a new purpose. It was no longer just a fast food restaurant. It became a tribute to every dream born from adversity. He reopened it as a non-profit community center, offering free meals to underprivileged children, job training, and mentorship from local leaders. And at the heart of it all, Mr. Eddie. When Kendrick learned that Mr. Eddie had lost everything, he acted quickly. He found him, invited him to the reopening, and handed him the keys, not as a manager, but as a respected guest and community advisor. "You fed me when I had nothing," Kendrick told him privately. "Now it's my turn." Mr. Eddie was said to have cried, not because of the building or the plaque Kendrick placed at the entrance that read, dedicated to the dreamers who never stopped believing, but because of the emotional full-circle moment. The quiet boy he once treated to free burgers had become one of the greatest artists of his generation, and he hadn't forgotten where he came from. The reopening event attracted a good crowd, but it wasn't filled with celebrities. There were no red carpets or film crews, just families, local students, single mothers, and older men reminiscing about the place from years past. Kendrick engaged with them as he always did, with humility, his head slightly bowed, and his voice soft yet purposeful. He took the time to connect with everyone, choosing to listen rather than perform. Inside the restaurant, the alterations were subtle yet significant. Although the menu stayed the same, a large back room had been transformed into a recording studio, and another room became a tutoring area equipped with donated laptops and books. One wall featured local artwork, while another displayed framed lyrics from Kendrick's songs, particularly those focused on themes of survival, community, and legacy. Kendrick had revitalized something that was once broken. For him, this was not about nostalgia, it was about empowering the next generation. It was a reminder to children in Compton that their dreams are valid, even if they begin with a lunch tray handed to them by a stranger who believes in their potential. A high school student at the reopening perfectly expressed the sentiment. This isn't just a McDonald's anymore. It's a museum of hope. Initially, word spread slowly, but it soon exploded online. Social media was inundated with images of the restaurant as people shared personal stories about how it had influenced their childhoods. Some had their first jobs there, others found comfort from difficulties at home. One woman remembered that her mother worked alongside Kendrick's mother, and they would cover each other's shifts when someone was ill. It was more than just a fast food restaurant. It was part of their shared history. What made this moment so powerful was not only the generosity, but also the symbolism behind it. In a time when success is often gauged by luxury cars and designer brands, Kendrick reminded everyone that true strength lies in humility. Healing the past is more important than showcasing the future. Sometimes, reclaiming a part of your history isn't about ownership, it's about restoration. The story resonated beyond the hip-hop community. News outlets reported on it. Educators began using it in classrooms to discuss the importance of giving back, and community organizers highlighted it as a model for reinvesting in neighborhoods rather than neglecting them. Amid all the excitement, Kendrick quietly returned to his work. No grand announcements, just more music and purpose. As for Mr. Eddie, he now spends his time mentoring children in the new space, just as he always has. However, he is now supported by the very boy he once guided. While their roles have shifted, the mission remains unchanged. Kindness, vision, and legacy. This story transcends a celebrity's charitable act. It underscores the importance of remembering your roots. It emphasizes the need to honor those who supported you when no one else would. It shows a new generation that achieving success doesn't mean leaving your past behind. It means embracing it. It encourages looking back with admiration and love, rather than shame. Because sometimes, a simple cheeseburger and a kind word can truly make a difference in the world. In Kendrick Lamar's case, they certainly did. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation, so please share your opinions in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated on the story.